and welcome to Charts and Hearts. I'm Sarah, and she's Lindsay.
And together we're working our way through an epic list of rom-coms in order to find and categorize tropes in the hopes of creating the nerdiest spreadsheet that podcasts have ever seen.
Oh, and today it's time for some science and a little bit of pie. We're doing
Yay!
1994's IQ. Oh, yeah, so good.
It's so cute.
It's so cute. I literally don't know if I'd ever actually watched it.
Oh,
and I don't know why. And now it's like in my rotation of movies that I will frequently watch just whenever. Yeah.
I'd seen it a million times. Like almost all the lines came back to me.
Yeah.
I guess we must have had the VHS.
Nice. No, I'm like, if I still went to stores, if stores still sold DVDs or Blu-rays or whatever, I would buy this.
I know.
Like, it's
should have
so
bought
cute.
it on YouTube.
Yeah, I know. We rented it, and now I'm like, oh, I would have bought this if I'd known that I liked it so much. Yeah. Basically, it's the 50s, and Walter Matthau plays Einstein, and Einstein has a niece played by Meg Ryan, and she meets a mechanic who's played by Tim Robbins, and they fall in love. And it's more complicated than that because there's shenanigans and actual science. Well, not actual science, which is the whole shenanigans part.
Yeah.
And Stephen Fry's in it, and it's really good.
Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, Tony Shalhoub. So many good people. Yeah. Highly recommend if you haven't seen it. It is a little hard to find on streaming. We literally couldn't find it anywhere other than to rent. But worth it.
I think it was, you could rent it on Prime.
Yeah, you could rent it on like Prime and
YouTube
and Apple and all those places, but nowhere included.
Yeah, but definitely worth the $5.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You can tell that we watched it when it was like just starting to be spring here, like the blossoms are just exploding, because both of our first note is so much spring, so springy.
Yeah. We were both so excited about spring.
So
We literally
excited.
just came back from a walk when we were like pointing out all the blossoms.
Yeah, basically.
We're
because also
so
like
close.
2 weeks ago it snowed here.
Yes.
So we needed it.
Yes.
Yeah. It sort of, it starts in spring and then it moves through the summer kind of like.
Kind of. Yeah.
But it's very springy at the beginning. Yeah. It's very cute. And I'm not the hugest Meg Ryan fan, but I really liked her in this.
No, I really liked her in this too. I think it's, again, like it's early Meg Ryan. I think after You've Got Mail, I'm kind of done with
That's
her.
true.
Around I don't know when City of Angels came out, but that's kind of when I'm over it. Kate and Leopold, ugh,
Yeah.
can't stand her in that movie.
She got so typecast and she just kept playing the same characters, and they just got really boring. But this one also is a really interesting, fun character. The only thing I was like, they could have given her more of like a 50s look. Like that hairstyle does not, I mean, I'm not an expert in 50s hair at all, but it's just like normal mid-90s Meg Ryan hair, not 50s. But her period clothing is so
so good.
She has so many good dresses. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like she's definitely got the I'm a scientist, but I'm a woman, so therefore I have to be ditzy.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
Forgetful and drop things all the time.
She's clumsy because she's distracted because she's either
so
smart or so driven to find a smart husband to make smart children, because that's what she feels is her only contribution. Basically, she is engaged to Stephen Fry, who's like an experimental psychologist doing this sort of, I think, like some pretty messed up like sex and desire and like weird, I don't know, he's like tortures a lot of undergraduate research participants is what it seems like, and like puts electrodes on all sorts of places with mice and rats. It's a bit weird. And then she is like a brilliant mathematician who's, you know, like not really able to, you know, be a PhD or like be a researcher or be a professor, but she is also Einstein's niece, so people like, she has a lot of like connections, like seems like the sort of state science guy.
Yeah, I think he's like head of the university. Well, I don't know. He's not, because he's not like the dean of Princeton. He's like,
he's
because he never talks about Princeton.
Research
he talks
and
about New Jersey.
to New Jersey, I think.
Yeah. So
yeah, and so like
but did they say the Institute, or is that something else?
The
that
Institute
I was
is that's where Stephen Fry is. Is that like
okay? So maybe. Yeah, so I think like they live at Princeton,
yes.
but none of this, aside from like the hospital part, they're not actually at Princeton.
No, the symposium's at Princeton.
Yeah, so I think like Charles During is like the head of an institute or something.
And like he's trying to like recruit scientists and basically use her, like he's connected to her through Stephen Fry, and then use her connections through her uncle Einstein to like get good industry, like basically get some research that actually makes money rather than just costs money is what he's hoping for. And so so she's out with Stephen Fry. They're like out for a drive, and his fancy car breaks down. He has like a imported British like convertible. There's lots of stuff with like cars and motorcycles in this too, which so like if you're into vintage those things, this would be a good movie. So then she goes to this like they pull into this mechanic shop, and it's very love at first sight, like cosmic destiny, like, oh, I have already married this person in a different timeline, kind of like
but for him
only.
Like she's
oblivious because she's engaged and she's focused, and
and also she's too distracted to like notice people. So it's for him, and then there's that definite ugly part, and we'll get to the rest of the story, but it's definitely like, we are meant to be together, I don't care. Like literally at one point he says she doesn't know what she wants. And like a lot of that, like they are at some points, like Einstein is really more of like, why are you marrying Stephen Fry? You could be a mathematician. And Tim Robbins is like, don't marry Stephen Fry, marry me. And there's never a conversation of like, then you can be a mathematician. It's just marry me.
That's true. I sort of like in my head wrote that because she's not with Stephen Fry trying to support his career, she's instead with somebody who's more of an equal. Like he is like, there's a huge amount of like classism and like intellectual like snobbery about like he's just a mechanic, blah blah blah, but he's like super smart, and like a like super gifted mechanic, but also like he's super interested in the world around him. Like he has like popular science, and he like is doing lots of reading. He just like is a mechanic, didn't go to university because it was the 50s and he needed a job.
Exactly.
But like it doesn't mean he's not smart. He just like didn't have that education. And so like maybe if she's like with somebody who's more supportive of whatever she wants to do, rather than like Stephen Fry also, like, so she and Stephen Fry don't love each other. She's with Stephen Fry because she thinks that his genetics would make smart children, and he's with her because he wants somebody to like manage his life and be his parent and assistant and secretary and chef. Like there's no it's not like at the beginning I was like, I have a note, is he her boyfriend, her colleague, her gay best friend? I can't tell.
No, it's hard. Especially because it's Stephen Fry.
Exactly.
I think the thing like with Tim Robinson, you can write it away, is that like he's so focused on getting her that I don't think he thinks about her career.
No, for sure.
And so like maybe he would be okay with it. Like he seems pretty supportive of her when she's doing the math.
Exactly.
That leads to his downfall. But he's like, and so like, and that part's nice. Like when they're together, a lot of the time it's nice, but he's definitely like, we're gonna get married. Too bad.
Regardless.
I don't care what you think.
No, for sure.
Kind of.
For sure. But also like he seems like a good person, and it's just, it's very left to my imagination, and I just imagine that he's gonna be this like super supportive guy, and they'll find some university where it's easier for her to be like get her PhD in math or whatever she wants to do than probably Princeton was in the 50s.
Probably.
So okay, so then she leaves her pocket watch at the mechanic shop, and he knows the address because he overhears her telling the taxi, which is a little creepy. I was like, you're not supposed to use that information, but he was returning her watch, but also wanted to marry her. So then he goes, and then he meets Einstein and Einstein's old man friends,
Yep.
And they're
Who
like
are the best.
The best. Oh my gosh. They're so good. They're so funny.
They're just like, they're so funny. They're talking about all these theoretical physics things, and then they like lose a birdie in the tree, and they're so excited he's there because he's not an old man, and they just like, he goes up in the tree and there's like 17 different things up there.
All the things they tried to get the birdie out, and probably also like over years of stuff.
Over years and years. Yeah.
It was so funny. Yeah. So he like becomes friends with Einstein and his buddies, and they're like, okay, how are we gonna, like, she only wants to be with very intellectually smart, like, academic people because whatever. So how are we gonna, like, set you up for success for that? And so they basically, like, help him come up with this lie that he wrote a paper on how, like, using fusion to power rocket ships to space.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lie gets very out of hand.
Yes. Very, very,
very out of hand.
Because of Charles During.
Yes.
And like taking everything Einstein says for granted, which of course, like, it's like near the end of Einstein's life, like, of course everyone's going to take everything he says for granted.
Yeah.
He's at that stage.
Like, this is Einstein's, like, protege that wrote this paper. Well, so first, like they don't even write the paper. They just, like, say that he has this idea, and he's like, they like dress him up as, like, the stereotypical sort of like crazy hair and a bow tie and, like, mismatched suit outfit, and, like, turn him into a physicist. And then, like, people find out about this paper, and then he, like, has to present at the big symposium, and so they have, like, 5 days to write a, like, academic paper on nuclear fusion. Sure. I mean, it does make sense towards the end when you find out where Einstein had this idea, but he could never prove or disprove it, so he never published it because he was like, I don't know if it's real. So then he like uses this idea and sort of gives it to I don't know what his name is. Guy. Edward. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, and they, like, fudge a little bit of the math to make it look like it works. And so this gets out of control. He's, like, super famous. Charles During is super excited about it. For New Jersey. And then at some point in the middle of that conversation-ish, like, all the things, like, they're just thrown together. Meg Ryan just decides that she's in love with him.
Basically, they end up at dinner, like, so after the symposium there's, like, the after party, and then she and Einstein and Edward go for dinner, and, like, obviously, you know, like, they're flirty and dancing, and, like, she falls for this, like, fictional physicist Edward, not the actual Edward, but, like, he's not really changing his personality except for the massive lie about what he does for a job. And then so, like, he's getting, like, interviewed by all these, like, papers and magazines or whatever, because he's, like, this sort of wonderkind of Einstein, that he was, like, a mechanic with no education and blah blah blah, and then he has this thing, and then Stephen Fry, like, it's such a cute
does
scene.
This test. Oh, yeah. No, before that, I'm just going to say, don't say wonderkin when we're at the beginning of a season of Ted Lasso. It hurts my heart.
Oh, sorry.
Too much.
I haven't watched it yet. I forgot. I'll stop using it.
Anyway. So then, Stephen Fry gives him, like, an IQ test. And at first, he does, like, all the puzzle things. Yeah. Which look like toddler toys.
Yeah, no, like, they're, you know, like, they're not that hard puzzle. They're, like, spatial reasoning puzzles. We had some of them when I worked at the Science Museum, but and then, like, a multiple choice test, which is conveniently up on a projector so everyone can see. So all the old guys just sit in a row and, like, make all sorts of old man noises. It's so funny. Oh, it's so funny. I forgot about my favorite part. I think before that is my absolute favorite scene when Edward, he has, like, a to us, like, vintage Harley Davidson motorcycle. And he gives Einstein a ride, and they're on the motorcycle, and they're, like, driving. It's, like, late spring through, like, country roads, and Einstein's just, like, having the time of his life, because it's so, like, happy. He's got his toque on, like, his woolly hat, and then his crazy hair sticking out, and they're just driving through the country, and it's the best.
It's the best. And he says wahoo. And then, like, there's so much sexual innuendo in this movie, but so Meg Ryan is mad that he took Einstein on a motorcycle ride, and Tim Robbins is like, he said wahoo, and then he looks right at her and he's like, what's the last time you said wahoo? Right. And I was like, whoa, Tim Robbins.
And, like, at the beginning when they first meet, he's, like, does this, like, crazy sort of car themed sexual innuendo scene. It's so funny. Yeah, so good.
Oh yeah, so he does the IQ test and then he ends up with an IQ of like 160 or something.
Yeah, like or 180, like absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then the like New Jersey whatever guy, Charles During, like the president comes and is like, "Hi, nice to meet you. Let's make some spaceships.
When can we go to space?" Yeah. It's like, I'm not even a practicing scientist, but the fact of like the president showing up and he's like, "When can you have a model?" Like when it's just one paper, and I'm like, "Yep, sounds like all scientists ever when they have something."
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. It's like, I have this theoretical idea. Okay, let's build it tomorrow.
Yeah. Why haven't you
And
started
also,
building
like,
it yet?
It might not, like, even if it works, it might not be safe because like it's nuclear fusion.
Yeah.
And so in the midst of all of this as well, like Edward and Meg Ryan are like getting thrown together in different situations and definitely falling for each other. Like they dance together a bunch, like they dance at the dinner after the symposium, and it's really cute. And yeah, they're like definitely super flirty, and
and then so he's encouraging her to try to work through the theorem.
Yeah.
And she's trying, like, she's having trouble because of her confidence levels. And then Einstein's worried about getting caught, which is when the gaslighting comes in. Hooray, so fun. And Einstein just looks at her and is like, I'm like, it's one of those things of like, you can excuse it later if you want to excuse gaslighting, because he's like, I've never done it this way. Which afterwards he's like, I don't know how to do it because I'm bad at math, which, okay, but he also is like purposefully doing that to gaslight her to say that she's wrong so that she doesn't see the flaw in this problem and everything falls apart.
Yeah, I didn't read it as super gaslighty, more of like he was, or like a little bit gaslighty, but also he was really impressed that she, like he knew that she was smart, but he's like, oh no, like she disproved my theory that I thought like I couldn't figure out how to prove or disprove it.
I think at the end, like when they're in the field, he is.
No, sorry, Einstein is,
No, like Einstein when they're in the field and he's like, you did it, you disproved my theory. Yeah. But when she first goes to him and is like, could this be right?
Oh, yeah.
And he just looks at her, he's like, I've never done it that way.
Right.
And just like, just tramples all over her confidence.
For sure.
And tells her she's wrong.
But then she disproves it anyways, even though, which is good. Yeah, and then there's this whole like weird thing that like I guess is relevant, but basically like that they cover up the lie with the president by basically, it turns out that somehow Russians had stolen this idea, maybe like from a spy at Princeton or something, and started working on it. And so that's how they like cover up the fact that it was like a wrong idea or like a flawed idea by like saying that it was actually to trap Russian spies to like see if their ideas were being leaked to Russia. Yeah,
and like the whole thing again of like Einstein was never able to prove or disprove this cold fusion theory, and she disproved it. So therefore, it's not possible that the Russians are working on cold fusion because it's just been proven that it doesn't work.
Yeah, but they're saying that they're working on it, which that was like even before it's been disproven. Or they're saying that like, oh, they invented it, but it's like the same equation as this one. And then throughout this whole thing too, there's this like upcoming comet sighting that's coming at the end, and it's a comet that was named after her father, who was a astronomer. So it's Boyd's comet, and he died. So she like, it's sort of like her like farewell to her dad, or like he's like, I'll come see you on my comet, basically. And so so they like meet up. Oh, and then she finds out about the lie before everybody else. Like before she disproves it, she finds out that it was a lie.
Yeah.
Or before it becomes public.
No, she disproves it and then is going to find him, and then the president shows up.
Yes, the president shows up, and then she finds it because like
work around it.
She's mad at him, but trying not to let the president know. So the president thinks that he's proposing to her, and she's really mad at him. Yeah, and it's like, it's weird, but cute. The whole thing is so cute. Yeah, and then so at the end they like meet up in this field because. Reasons like there's the Einstein and his buddies like make her car break down remotely because of complicated reasons that don't really matter.
Yep.
And she ends up like having to pull into this field, and it's the same field where he is, and they're like looking at this comet, and then they have this comet sighting moment, and it's really cute. And then
it is.
Yeah, and then that's the movie. Like they're together, and
The end.
Yep. Ugh. I really liked it.
Yeah. Me too. It's really cute.
Yeah. There's definitely some gaslighting and stuff, but it's also like it feels period appropriate.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not over the top gaslighting.
Yeah.
And that's what I was telling my sister, because I was just texting her millions of quotes of things that we used to say to each other constantly. And like, then she asked, like, does it hold up? And I'm like, aside from the main plot being multiple men lying to a woman, and then some slight gaslighting, it does. Like, there's nothing else. There's no like offhanded comments or things, and there's not even like, there's the whole uncomfortable part of like, I'm gonna marry you, but there's no part where I feel unsafe for her.
No, exactly. Like he doesn't go to the like stalkery level. Like he has this lie to try to get her attention, and then he completely loses control of the lie.
Yeah, exactly.
But he doesn't like get like creepy stalkery about it. It's just like he loses control of the lie in the like physics nuclear rocket sense, not the love life
part of it,
sense.
not the love part. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I don't feel like I don't feel like he was, or like he would have done anything or like chosen to marry her or even like get together with her or propose or whatever without her knowing that it was a lie. Yep. So it was good. All right, so we talk about some tropes.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't talk about the music.
Oh
my
yeah,
goodness, it's so good.
It's so good. They like Jerry Goldsmith, and it's like classics. Like I don't even know, like Claire de Lune and Twinkle Twinkle and like all these
but they like they're very
like super
simple
recognizable
themes,
tunes,
recognizable,
and then they like get remixed into the theme and then mixed with each other, and it's just
amazing.
Really good.
And it's like and it's surprising how like a rework of Twinkle Twinkle can make you emotional. It's weird.
And it's very much like using that like music as like math and also music as a metaphor for love. Like it ties the whole thing together really well. I liked it a lot.
Me too. Okay, tropes. Number 1, shitty boyfriend. Yes. Oh my God, Stephen Fry.
Yeah, but also
what are you doing?
It went both directions. Like they were both in it for.
They were both in a loveless relationship, but he was extra
shitty because of the whole like IQ testing and like, I mean, yes, it was the 50s and they had we just invented the IQ system. So like the thought of like, you could be really good at math and solving these puzzles, but not know like basic facts about physics. And that doesn't make you less smart. That just makes you having not had access to education. Because the trivia questions that he asks are like, which of these theories, like without explaining what the theories like, are part of this, or like they're very like trivia fact-based kind of questions.
And then he's also bad.
Oh yeah, no, he's not a good person. No. Okay, the female protagonist is so smart, but so ditzy. So distracted. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Not as oh no, she's pretty clumsy. But like
she doesn't trip a lot.
No, she doesn't trip a lot.
And she drops a lot of spoons.
She's not dumb. She's just distracted more than dumb. Yeah.
Lost in a thought because she's thinking too much. Yeah. So adorable old guys and adorable old guys who befriend a male protagonist and then help come up with a plan to set him up with their relation, which is, if you know anything about Return to Me,
Return to Me also Much Ado.
Oh yeah. But these guys, like, it's almost exactly the same. There's like 4 old guys in Return to Me. One of them is like the grandfather of Minnie Driver, and they become best friends with David Duchovny. It's so good.
Yeah,
we're gonna get there, I think, in the fall.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, they're
great.
hilarious.
And it made me think very much of like the, you know, in Hercules, like the women, is it the Muses? Yeah. They're like the Eastern European old men version of that.
Yeah,
in this
old men.
movie.
Yeah, like, and they're just like coming up with all these things about like time doesn't exist and gravity and
yeah, for sure.
Oh, and then like all the, did you just feel that an atom collided with an atom that collided with an atom that collided with us? They're just like,
they're so
great.
cute. And then I guess this is kind of like the same thing. It's like a harebrained scheme and losing control of that scheme / lie. Like it all kind of
like
slowly goes off the
in.
rails. Yeah.
And the thing is of like the original plan, which is a harebrained scheme of like, let's pretend he's a physicist, but like, where was that gonna go?
Exactly.
If it hadn't gone off the rails, like it's just but obviously like these are four old guys. They didn't know what they were doing. They're not great at making a plan.
No, and like they're physicists, not and they're all like widowed.
Like old widows.
So
speaking of which, there is no other women in this movie.
No, I think there's like, you know, some background characters, but there's no like, I don't think there's any other named female characters. I was just looking.
No,
there's like somebody named Rose, and
I think
don't know
like there's some people like at a dinner party and then like a waitress.
Yeah, there's like there's a Gretchen and a Rose. I think they go to a dinner party or like at after the symposium or something. Yeah,
like the dinner party, and then everyone's so shocked because she wants to go to the mud slides in Maui, which don't exist. Amanda looked before she went on her honeymoon
to those beaches.
Yeah. So that's a big fail.
Big fail in the Bechdel test.
Test, even though a smart woman,
big nerdy pie.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, so much. Oh yeah, and
she talks to herself and to other people about things other than her relationship. Like she talks about math and physics and science. And
that part's true. Yes, and comets.
And comets. Okay.
And there's an amazing part where where Stephen Fry is trying to catch Tim Robbins in the lie, and he's like asking him equations, which is like a totally normal thing to do to a person.
Totally.
And similar to the IQ test, the old guys like do math with their fingers and stuff, and then the end is cubed over pie, so it's like an ice cube sitting on top of a pie, and I was like, it's perfect. It's both kinds of pie for Pie Month. Anyway, here we go. Here's some pie.
Tim Robbins just being super charming.
Oh my goodness,
so charming,
so attractive.
Yeah. Like 10%.
Yeah. Like, it has nothing to do with the movie. He's just attractive.
But yeah, like, I mean, his charm is part of, like, she notices him because he's a physicist, but falls for him because he's charming AF.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 15. Sexual innuendo, especially of the nerdy sciencey kind. Oh, man. Like, 30?
Yeah, like no, I don't think so. The beginning of this movie, like everything that comes out of everyone's mouth is an innuendo.
Yeah, like
it's
he says like anything, like it's all like car mechanicsy stuff, but it's like it's so innuendo-y. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Okay. Wahoo!
It's so cute.
So cute.
Love it so much. 15? Yeah. Which leaves us with 40.
Yeah, 40% music as a metaphor for love and math. That seems appropriate.
Yeah. It does seem appropriate because the score is really prominent.
Yes, for sure.
Like,
and then
it's definitely not like a background score that you don't notice exists.
I don't want this in our pie, but there's definitely a garnish or like an optional addition of like tortured undergraduate students in Stephen Fry's lab.
Stephen Fry's lab of like,
but I don't want to put that in a pie.
No, of like rats and
mice and
monkeys and stuff.
Okay, what do we think's next for them?
I say maybe.
Yeah,
like again, we had that conversation at the beginning of like if he's cool with her doing her job, but also like, and I don't want to force her into being a mathematician because she is a person who wanted to have children, and that's also
and that in the 50s would have been a lot harder than it is now. But still doable.
Yes. Yeah. So I think, And also, like, Nepo baby, 100%. She could probably get into a lot of places. So.
Her last name's different, so if she doesn't want to be compared to him, she doesn't have to be, which is nice for her. Yeah. Yeah, like, if he's cool with her doing whatever and they can figure out the whole kids thing as they go. Yeah, like, I mean, they don't even really date in this movie. They just are like, by the end, they're like, oh, okay, this is who you are. This is who I am. I like you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But, like, he's got a good job. He had a big house.
Yeah, exactly.
For like 5 seconds. Like, he seems to be doing just fine for himself.
Yeah.
As
and he's like a
white
big
man
old
in the 50s.
Science nerd. Yeah.
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 So I think if she wanted to finish her thesis.
Well, and also, like,
it would be okay.
Coming up in the 60s, like, the whole space race thing of, like, they need scientists, they also need mechanics. Like,
it's true. They could both work for
both go work for NASA.
Just move to Houston.
Yeah, or Alabama or all those places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's next for us, Lindsay?
Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's Darcy Palooza.
Yeah. Okay, so we're doing April as Pride and Prejudice month. Oh, so excited.
Yay.
So our next episode is Fire Island, which is I think it was like a 2022 adaptation of
happened.
Pride and Prejudice. It's on Amazon Prime. It's hilarious. Highly recommend it. Yeah, so that'll be our next one here. If you want to join us on Patreon, we are at patreon.com/chartsandheartsclub, and April's episode is going to be 2 of the best filmic adaptations of Pride and Prejudice. We're going to do the, like, 2000D Pride and Prejudice film, 2005 Pride and Prejudice, the Keira Knightley one, and we're going to do the BBC Pride and Prejudice miniseries. So it's going to be a long Patreon episode.
Oh yeah, but it's going to be the best.
We're so excited. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So yeah, come join us over there if you also want to do that.
There's a lot of Pride and Prejudice adaptations, and so this is just there's a reason there's only P&P month, because we haven't even gotten to the rest of Austen
exactly
yet. So don't worry.
Yeah,
we got a big long list, and we will not miss any excuse to talk about Darcy.
Indeed.
Ever.
Indeed. Oh my gosh.
So
we're very excited.
Yes.
Yeah, so that brings us to the end of this episode. You can rate or review us wherever you get your podcasts, and you can find us on social media. We're at Charts and Hearts Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and we're at Charts and Hearts on Twitter.
You can also go to our website, chartsandhearts.com, where you can submit your suggestions for rom-coms and also tropes that we can add to the list. And again, check out our Patreon. We do also have a long back catalog of a year.
Yes.
But we just did One Fine Day, which was also Spring, which was a kind of an accident, but was pretty good. George Clooney, attractive.
Highly recommend. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, there's a kitten, so you know.
Anyways, let us know your thoughts on this movie, and in the meantime, since time doesn't exist, who needs a watch?